What's going on, guys? Just wanted to do a quick little overview of this 55-gallon Brazilian rainbow boa aquarium that I've made. It's bioactive and it's been established for a couple months now. These plants have grown in pretty nicely. Yeah, I just wanted to see what you guys think and maybe give you some tips and pointers on how to do something like this, because I haven't really seen this done for this snake before, I guess just because of its size. I think the larger the animal, the harder it is to do a bioactive setup for something like this. So I'll just start off with some of the electrical equipment. I'm sorry, ignore my room. It's pretty dirty. I just moved. So let's see. Starting off, I've got the 36-inch Exoterra hood. In there are 4 Jungle Dawn LEDs that are all running. That ends up costing me about 25 bucks a month in electricity, so keep that in mind if this is something you're planning on doing. And then other than that, the only electrical features that I have are this temperature gauge here, which monitors a heat pad, which is actually over here underneath the this wood and the roots and everything. So there's a hide back there, that's the warm hide, and then on this side we've got the cold hide. So that wire runs back here to the back of the tank, where I've chipped a hole in the plastic there, put the wire in so this glass wouldn't cut it, and then I drilled a hole in the back of the top of this hide, and then I put the wire through it. So it's not an accurate read on the temperature just because it's not really attached to the glass or close to where the heat mat is. It's kind of just dangling in there, but it gives me an idea at least of how warm it is. So and then I've just got, a standard little humidity gauge and temperature gauge there in the middle as well. So if you notice, there's a lot of condensation on the glass right here. I just wiped it down for this video. Normally it's completely covered, which isn't really great for viewing, but it helps the snake a lot, and he feels a lot more secure coming out at night, especially in these winter months. My room is freezing cold, but the temperature in here is a lot warmer, so that causes a lot of that condensation. But I took a lot of this stuff from my lychee vivarium that I had set up after I sold them. All the soils, the same New England Herp Supplies, I believe is the name of the company. Ordered all that from them. They're great. Same for these branches I ripped out of off the background. But other than that, I got these plants from a local greenhouse. I have this plant here, these vines, which do great for creeping kind of ground and background cover in a crested gecko tank, and also have this vine in a crested gecko tank. I wish I could tell you guys the names. Maybe get back to me on that in the comments and I'll help you out. Other than that, this was kind of just a mystery plant. I put him in there and it seems to be doing pretty good. So hopefully he'll continue to grow and fill in nicely. As far as plants go, I would like to get some moss in there because the tank, I would say, is probably close to 90% humidity. The gauge reads 80. I don't really trust these that much. I don't think they're that accurate, but they give you a nice idea at least of what you're floating around. So I'd definitely like to get some moss going on this side because it stays pretty moist over here. The ground stays pretty damp, so I think that would look pretty cool. But other than that, I don't plan on changing much to this tank. It seems to work pretty well. So my rainbow boa himself is actually just as long as the tank, so he's got to be at least 4 feet since this is 48 inches. But also I think he'll still have about a foot to grow. He is under here. I just checked it out with my phone to make sure he's actually in the tank. He's broken out a couple of times, and I'll get to how I've prevented that in a second. But I did check. He's underneath there, so I won't be able to get him out for the video. But he still has plenty of room, so I'm hoping as he gets bigger that the hide over here on the right side will be able to house him. And then as far as this hide goes, he can usually squeeze under one of these for the most part. So I think if he gets about a foot bigger, hopefully that'll work out. Might have to get a bigger piece. We'll see what happens, but there's room for it. So, and then I just keep a water bowl there in the back corner. I keep it in the corner trying to keep him from tipping it, but that doesn't always seem to be the case. It looks like he tipped it over last night because I filled that up then, and now it's pretty much empty. So definitely going to have to put some more water in there soon. But yeah, other than that, that's pretty much it. As far as critters in here besides the snake, I've been looking at getting a set of millipedes just because they're kind of cool, and to help clean up the tank, and he won't obviously try to prey on them, so the fact that they can be toxic to some animals wouldn't be an issue. I've done some research on that. But let's see if I don't think you'll be able to get close enough to see any springtails, but there's springtails all over the place in here, as well as some established isopods, which I see crawling every once in a while, but they're pretty rare unless I dig them up. So I know that they're helping with the cleanup process and keeping that soil healthy. Yeah, but that's really it. I'll just give you guys some quick videos of it and then let you know. I guess, okay, so let's actually go to the security features to keep my snake from busting out. So this piece of glass up here is definitely heavy enough to keep him from pushing it around, so I'm not too worried about this half. However, on this half, I used a piece of plastic. You can see that's pretty flimsy. And the reason I did that is because this glass is just some, I don't even know what you call it, standard glass from it's 3-32 inches thick. I don't know how to say that. So it's pretty thin, which means it's pretty delicate. I don't want to be moving this around too long because I don't want it to break and get glass shards in here. And also when you buy glass that gets cut at Home Depot, they don't grind off the edges for you. That's kind of up to you to do. So I don't want to be picking up sharp glass and moving it all the time when I have to get my snake out. So I used the plastic, which gave me the issues of him getting out of the tank. Obviously, I can't put anything too heavy on this plastic, so it'll just push right through and don't need that falling on him in the middle of the night. So when I had originally set up this tank, what I had done was I was using a heat lamp. I wasn't using heat pads at all. I was never really too big of a fan of them, but I've kind of figured out how to use them now and how to make them work for you. So, you know, the advantage of a heat lamp is that it gives you pretty specific point of heat, and it's pretty easy to know what temperature that's giving you and how your snake is going to be affected by it. So when I had a heat lamp going, the issue was all the humidity would come right off the top. And if you know rainbow boas, you know they need high humidity in order to live healthily. So I constructed this, and originally I was going to put a heat lamp on this and then put another piece of glass or plastic over the top to help hold the humidity in. So I constructed this box made out of a couple pieces of plastic, some glue, some brackets, and a piece of screen to hold the lamp. And it actually squeezes in there really nicely, pretty snug, and it holds that plastic down. So that actually ended up working out pretty well for me. And then I just keep a piece of cardboard in there to put the mice on that I put in the tank. A lot of people say not to feed your animals in the tank. I don't really think that's an issue with him. I've been doing it, and he never is trying to strike me when I open it up. He can get a little testy sometimes when I'm trying to pull him out, but for the most part, pretty well-behaved snake. And then other than that, you know, I've got these two pieces of wood to hold the light up a little bit just to keep it off the glass and the plastic, but that seems to hold him in there pretty well. And then, yeah, let's just go to, I guess, the construction of the background. So I kept the back clear. I figured the snake could use as much room as possible since he's pretty long. You know, I'm happy with the decision because I did get these LED lights, which are pretty cool at night. You know, change all sorts of colors and whatnot. Usually I just leave them on purple. But, yeah, so I've got that, which you can see through the background. But yeah, so I got this cork branch. It goes all the way up to here. This big piece of wood I got from outside and just baked it to kill anything that was on it that might be harmful to your snake. Also goes all the way to the far right for the glass, and then same for the one up top. And then what I did was I, you know, covered this with silicone, covered this with silicone. That's the heat mat there. And same for the back side with silicone. And then I kind of put them into place and see how I like the layout, and then spray foamed them in. And you can tell there's some areas where you can still see it. I don't know if I'll be able to angle the camera appropriately. You can see the foam, but it's not too noticeable unless you're looking for it, so I'm not too upset with it. And then some places where you could see it on the outside, I put some silicone. Just because that yellow is pretty ugly. You can see some more back here. Get the camera pointing the right way as well. But yeah, I actually have two heat mats here. So this one I got recently because it was getting really cold in here, and it was too cold for the snakes. So I went and bought a second one, and this one just stays plugged in where the other one actually reads the temperature, and that has helped out quite a bit. And I've been feeling this. It doesn't get hot enough to burn the snake by any means, but it definitely helps out with the heat. And then other than that, oh, the other heat mat is underneath, and I can actually feel it if I open my sock drawer to tell if it's on. I can feel the heat down there. But this is pretty much the entire aquarium. It's grown in really nicely. The plants haven't had any issues with the snake. crawling on them and killing them. And I would, so here's a good example of what it normally looks like. But yeah, it's going pretty well. If you guys have any questions, please feel free to ask. I'll answer as many as I can and give you any advice I can. Let's see if I can actually get you guys a better view from inside the aquarium. One other thing I'd like to point out too, is this is just something that I've enjoyed. Wasn't expecting this to happen. So these vines I planted, they're both planted on the ground just in between these branches right in the middle. But the way they've grown out, there's actually little tunnels underneath here. And it's pretty cool to watch the snake utilize those. Normally when he's laying, he's got a lot of his body in here and his head's normally poking out pretty much right where the thermometer gauge is underneath the large branch. But whenever I get him out, I only get him out when he's, you know, just basking over here, just hanging out above everything because he can't wrap up around the branches. But that's about it. So let me know what you guys think. And yeah, again, if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.